Hello my friends, welcome to a new segment of videos that we are creating called Stephanie's Stamp Pad. Now what is Stephanie's Stamp Pad? It is where we are going to sit down together, or actually I stand, but we are going to make a card together, and I'm going to go step by step with each card and give you information and tips and all of that kind of stuff. Kind of like a 30-second card, but I'm going to go nice and slow and I'm going to explain and we're going to make a beautiful card together. Our first card for the first segment of the first episode is going to be this one. It's the Elegant Flip It, and isn't it beautiful? It uses quite a few Stephanie Barnard products and Stamps of Life and Sizzix products. So we're going to make this card together, and the items that we're focusing on are a couple different things. One, we have the Elegant Flip It, and it comes with 10 dies and a storage envelope, which is fantastic. The next item is the Large Flowers by Stamps of Life. So we're going to use these flowers, and we're also going to use this circle. Another thing we're going to use, and I apologize, it's kind of hard to see it on there, is the Words for Circles. We're going to use that on the inside. And we're also going to be using the Celebrate Collection paper pad. So we're going to be putting all of those items. You probably have most of these items already in your stash, so that's perfect. If not, you can always order them on our website. Let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to die cut our base. Let's have our card here so we can kind of focus on that. We're going to die cut our base. Now the nice thing about all of my flip it cards and my stand up cards and my step up cards, every card has the layering dies that come with it. So the big die is the main die. And when you hear that it says 10 dies, don't be overwhelmed by 10 or 12 or 14. Some of them have 23 dies. Always focus on the 3 largest in the kit, and then you'll be set. The rest are just embellishing dies. So we're going to use the largest die, and what we're going to do is we're going to die cut that. So move this off. Now, I like to use the extended magnetic platform in my Big Shot machine. The regular magnetic platform will work for the flip it cards. I just like this one because there's so much room. So I'm going to lay that cutting pad down. I'm going to get my cardstock. Now you're always going to lay your blade face down, and you've heard me say many, many times, you don't want a speed bump. So see how this line here is straight or parallel to my roller inside my machine? We don't want that, because that roller is going to hop over that blade and it's not going to cut that blade. So we're going to skew this, and I had somebody tell me there's no room to skew it. Well, there actually is. Notice how I hold my hands here and I skew it, so I'm still staying on my platform. But now you'll see there's this ever slight angle. It's not perfectly parallel. And that is going to give me the perfect cut. That's all I have to do. So we sometimes get emails, oh, it's not cutting. Just skew it a little bit, and it's going to ease its way over that blade and give you a perfect cut every time. So we're just going to lay a cutting pad on top. Now you'll notice, this is another tip that I like to talk about. I'm using a smaller cutting pad on top. Why is that? I have a long one on the bottom, like this size on the bottom. But I could lay this long one on top, but then I'm going to be rolling longer. And why roll so long? I'm just going to put this little one on top, and now I don't have to roll as long, because you know what? I'm honestly very lazy. So we're going to run that through. Any cracking you hear is totally normal. That's the blade going through the cutting pad. That blade has to go somewhere. There's so much pressure. So we're going to pop that out, and we're going to put that off to the side. Then what we're going to do is we're going to cut the layering pieces. So we're going to lay those layering pieces down. And because this has letters on it, we want to make sure we're going the right way. So I'm just going to kind of take 10 extra seconds here and make sure that my layering piece, because it's going to go right here on my card, that the letters are facing the right way. I don't want any upside down letters, right? So then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to lay this down. Now a couple tips about this. What I'm going to do is I don't want to have these perfectly lined up, because again, speed bump. So we're going to move this one off to the side just a little, and because I want it to be straight on the paper, because I want those words to show up really well, I'm going to turn the paper just a little bit and I'll be good to go. This one, again, because there is a dot, I want to make sure it's straight on the paper, and then I can tilt my paper just a little bit, and I want to make sure I can really tilt it. So I'm going to bring these down here. Nice thing about the extended platform is I have lots of space to work with, and I'm just going to go just like that. Now, here's another tip. Sometimes you're running off the side, and that can kind of mess up things. And so you know what I do? I'll usually tear it, or I'll just cut it. I know that sounds silly, but it's just going to give me a better cut when it goes through the machine. I always want to have success. Now I am a little bit longer on this one this time, so I am going to use the longer cutting pad. And I just happen to have these cutting pads at my disposal. If you only have one or the other, you're going to be totally fine. Now I have the patterns, the layering cut out. Perfect. And there's no extra measuring, nothing like that to worry about. And I'm looking for my adhesive. Wouldn't that be fun? Oh, there it is. I was gonna say, wouldn't that be funny if I didn't have adhesive on my desk? Okay, so we'll move that off to the side and let's put this together. So we're just gonna add adhesive to the back of these. And this pattern paper is so much fun. Now, on Flip It cards, I highly recommend you decorate the 2 layers, 1, 2, and then you fold it. Never, ever, ever decorate the inside pieces until you folded it. Why is that? Because chances are you might actually decorate the wrong side, thinking it's the inside and then it's the outside, or thinking it's outside and then it's the inside. So I always recommend in all of my classes, fold your card first, then decorate the centers. So now to fold our card, what we're gonna do is we're always gonna hold it in the air, and we're gonna always want, sadly, a big bottom, little top. Okay, see how it's big here, little here? And the paper that we want on the front, we're gonna have facing us. So we're not gonna fold it like this, we're gonna fold it facing us. We're gonna fold it in half towards us, so my corners line up. Then on the second set of score lines that are on the die created those, I'm gonna fold that up, and then I'm gonna turn it to the left. So now I have my Flip It card. Now I know what the front is, now I know what the inside is, and I can continue to decorate. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut out the inside piece. Now this piece comes with the Elegant Flip It, which is really handy dandy, and it's one of my favorites. And you'll notice I have a little bit of trash in there. That's actually wax paper, so we'll just kind of clean that out real quick. That's just wax paper, so that's what the die looks like normally. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna die cut this just like this, but I'm gonna tell you a hint, look at this. I need 2, I need 1 for the inside and 1 for the outside. So I'm gonna be tricky, and I'm gonna cut them both at the same time. You can cut 2 layers at one time, just kind of makes it a little faster. And I'm gonna give you another tip. I like to use wax paper, and this one had a little extra ookies on it, so that's not gonna really work too well, but we'll clean that off. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use wax paper. You can also just use, I'm using the trash from my adhesive sheets. You can also use just regular wax paper. We're gonna lay that on top. And then we're gonna run this through. So I actually have 3 layers going here. Nice hair in there, it's fun. We're gonna lay that down. Now this is wax paper, so I don't have to worry about trimming it. And we're gonna run that through. Now why am I adding wax paper on that? Because sometimes on this die especially, the paper likes to stick. And I don't want it to stick. So I just wanted to make sure it popped out really nice and easy. So there's 1. And sometimes doing 3 layers is not a good idea. Oh, it still worked. Yay, I was gonna say, let's try that one. So you might wanna do that a little bit, actually do 1 at a time because I added that wax paper. But the good news is I didn't need this cut out for my inside because I'm gonna add the circle on top, so I'm still okay. Now we're gonna move that off to the side. And something that I like to, let's poke these guys out. These are really easy to poke out. So we're gonna poke those out. Now sometimes what I like to do is I like to add just a little oomph, and I'm gonna use, let's find some scratch paper. Here's some scratch paper. We'll use this. So what I like to do is just add a little extra inking. I'm gonna get I know I had one here 5 seconds ago, a makeup sponge. Darn, I don't see it, sorry. Okay. Well, what I would do normally is I would rub a makeup sponge on top of this, and we'll definitely be showing this in other videos, so you don't have to worry. But I just take a makeup sponge, a cheapy one that you get at the big box stores, and I rub it, and then I actually started it on this one. I can't believe that thing is here. And I started it on this one just to give it a little more texture. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add that to our card, and we'll just get some adhesive. Add that to our card. And then we are going to add our cute little button. Let's find our cute little button. And I've already added my little twine to the inside. So we're gonna add that, and I meant to grab some glue dots, but this will work. So I'm just gonna add it right there. Cute. And now for the inside, what we're gonna do is we're going to die cut that circle and stamp. Now I always like to stamp first. That way I get to make sure that it's perfectly centered. Sometimes I can tell when people have die cut first and then stamped because it's not as centered. So you always want to stamp first when you can. Then I'm going to take my guava ink, and this one has the word hello. Now these circles are really fun. These work perfect with the triple circle. That's what it was designed for, but it's gonna look awesome on this card as well. Now this is the first time I've used this stamp set, so the first image might not be okay, but that's okay because I can always flip this piece of paper over. So I'm gonna stamp that one. Oh, that looks beautiful. Okay, we don't have to even stamp it twice. Usually on the first time I always stamp on scratch paper. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it to the die cut machine and we're gonna die cut this. And you can see, oh, here's a tip. You can see that my cutting pad is kind of bowing just ever so slightly. I hope you can see it. But it's starting to kind of be a little concave right here. I'm gonna flip it over so now you can see it even more, how it's curving. You want to cut into the bowl. So it's starting to look like a bowl, right? A fruit bowl. We're gonna cut into the bowl and that's gonna get it flat again. So we're gonna lay that down. It's gonna take a couple cuts, but we're gonna lay that down. And then we're gonna get our scalloped circle die out of our kit. I'm gonna pop that out and we're gonna lay that right on top. And see, I can move this around any which way I want to get that perfectly centered. I am using the magnetic platform, so it's not going anywhere. It's not gonna go anywhere. It's a fantastic thing. And because it's so small, I wanna make sure it's perfect. Okay, and because it's so small, I don't have to use the longer cutting pad. I can just run it through. So we're gonna run that through. Ta-da! Okay, now we're gonna add that to our card. I'm sorry, to our yellow piece, and then our card. We're gonna lay that right there. Perfect. And then we're gonna add that to the center of our card. So I know which the front is because that's the front, and then we're gonna open it up and that's the inside. So we'll add that to the inside, just like that. Then we need to cut out the little flowers. So here we have the cute little flowers, and that is also from this kit. Now, these are very thin pieces, and I cannot imagine trying to add glue to the other side of this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use some Sizzix adhesive. This stuff is like gold, let me tell you, because Sizzix was out of it for a while, and so we got it back in stock. I have a piece over here now, so I get to open a new pack. Woohoo! Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some of this to this piece of cardstock. Now normally I add it to a big piece, but when I have just a little piece of cardstock, I'm just gonna add it to this piece right here, cover the whole thing. I'm gonna close it back up. So I've closed it back up. Then I'm gonna just take my scissors and I'm going to cut this out because I'm gonna save all of this extra adhesive. I'm gonna use it for another time. So I'm just gonna add that. And now save this for later when you're using it on another flip it shape or something like that. Now we're gonna die cut this. So I'm gonna lay this down. Now because I have adhesive on the back, I'm only gonna go one time through. I'm sorry, one layer. So we're gonna run that through. And I need 2 flowers, so we're gonna make another one real quick. And the nice thing is some of the backing came off, and to get this out easy, you can literally just put your fingers on it and it will come out. But just to make sure it doesn't tear, I'm gonna grab my handy dandy paper piercer and just poke those little holes to make sure that nothing tears when I take this out of the die. Poke, 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 poke. And then we're gonna take that out. And we can go ahead and add this to our card because we don't want it to lose its sticky because I've been touching it already. So we're just gonna peel that sticky off. Now this die is very fragile. So, the die cut is very fragile, so just be extra careful with it. It's very intricate. So we're gonna lay that down. Come on. We're gonna lay that down right there. Perfect. Now let's cut one more. Now you always want to use as much of this as possible, so get it nice and close to the last one you just cut. And I save these little pieces. I have a bucket on my desk and I save all the pieces that have adhesive on the back. Did you see me flip that? See, that's just like habit. So it was starting to bow a little tiny bit this way, so I'm gonna cut into the bowl. Remember, always cut into the bowl, into the curve, and I'm gonna run that through. I have people sometimes at shows tell me, oh, I can't use my cutting pads, they're too curved. Well, it's not the cutting pad's fault. You just need to flip it and cut into it, and it'll be as good as new. I've had some of these forever, ever, and they last a long time. The only time you really ever should need to change it is when the texture, when you run it through your machine, and the texture actually comes off onto your paper because there's so many cuts on it. Then it's probably time to change. But other than that, they last a lot longer than you think. And I would hate for you to waste your money just buying new ones because they're curved a little, just because you just need to flip it. So now we're going to add that one. Oh my goodness gracious, isn't this adorable? We're almost done. So now we're just going to add some buttons to the inside. Let's move this out of the way. You can see why I love the Big Shot, because it's so easy just to move off to the side. Now I'm going to add, normally if you had a glue dot, you would add that to the actual product, but because I don't have any glue dots on my desk, I'm adding adhesive there. And we're going to add, oh, the little glitter buttons. The nice thing about our lines is everything coordinates together. So the buttons match the cardstock matches the ink matches the blah, blah, everything matches, the felt. And I think we're almost done. We only have one more thing. We just need to add our pretty, pretty ribbon. So we're just going to add this to the side. Now ribbon always adds so much. Now some people are going to say, but where am I supposed to write? There's a couple places you could write. You can write still over here. You can put the ribbon off to the side a little bit more. You can also write on the back, or because this card is so pretty, you might want to just include a letter. Write an actual letter. That's like back in the olden days where we used to have white pieces of paper or stationery and we'd write a real letter. You can just include a note as well. So then we're going to trim that just off to the side, a little crooked. My scissors are starting to die on me a little. Okay. And look at this. Now the last thing we have to do is just add our stamp, our personalized stamp on the back. And let's see if I have one handy dandy here. Usually I do. Sometimes I do not. Oh, I have my daughter's. Well, that's not going to help us. She doesn't get credit for my card. Here's one. Let's see. Let's see what this one says. Oh, well, this one's close enough. This one says, this card was created using Sizzix and Stephanie Barnard products. Well, that's appropriate, isn't it? So let's get, let's see. We got to make sure a color that will show up. And we will stamp the back. Now, if you don't have a personalized stamp, we do sell them on the website. Lots of different choices. And we're just going to move this off to the side because we do want to stamp the back. You always want to make sure people know that you made that card. We are done. Look at how fantastic that looks. So easy peasy. I bet you didn't know flip it cards could be this easy. Isn't that fantastic? Thank you so much for joining me for our first episode, Stephanie's Stamp Pad. I hope you join us again next week where we will have a new card and a new project. Thanks so much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.